Hi friends, Mickey Mankis here and welcome to Out the Back Door. I am out in the garden right now, obviously, and I am going to be picking peppers so that I can get them pickled. So come along and join me. I was just allowed to bend over 90 degrees yesterday, literally. Huh. You don't know how tight my quads are right at this moment as I'm squatting down. But it feels good to be able to get down and start harvesting. All right, these are some beautiful peppers that we've got here. And normally when I pickle my peppers, I use hot banana peppers in with them. Well, I did not grow any of those this year. So I'm actually going to be using some jalapenos in place. One year I did this, I think I probably had 10 or 12 bell pepper plants, and they produced just crazy. And I couldn't put them up fast enough. I was giving them away. You know what's going to be interesting? I'm trying to figure out how to get it up. All right, I'm going to keep picking these, and as soon as I get done, I'll get back to you. Today I am going to be canning up peppers. I am going to pickle them. So let's see, how does it go? Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers that Peter Piper picked? Yeah, that's really a tongue twister. And yes, I did have to read that off because I only remembered the first line. But anyway, let's get to it. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is my grandmother's recipe for pickled peppers. So it is a vintage recipe. It's gone back many, many years. And in fact, the first time I ever tried them, my mother and I had gone to my grandmother's when I was very young. And Grandma had made South Americans also and was going to make a sandwich for my mother. So anyway, she also put a slab of the pickled pepper that she had canned onto the South American sandwich. And my mom's drooling and saying how delicious it is, and I'm drooling because I want to bite and she doesn't want to share. And she finally let me taste it, and it was like, oh, it was one of the best things I've ever had. So I did have to get the recipe for the pickled peppers from my grandmother when I got a little bit older, because it was like, I need to be making these. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you've gone and washed all of your peppers. I do have a stock pot right now, boiling water on there, because we are going to be blanching these. But the first thing I want to do is I'm going to be cutting off the tops, and I'm going to cut them in half, and I'm going to take all the membranes out so that they're nice and clean before we start blanching. Just really quick, what I've normally done is just regular, these are mammoth bell peppers, but I usually use just regular bell peppers when I do these. It happens to be Mr. Mankis had gone down to the cherry greenhouse, and that's where I usually get my plants from. What he ended up doing was, the owner there, in their garden, they had tried several different varieties of peppers that came from the University of Minnesota. Now, he didn't give me the names of them. She was rattling them off to him, and he's like, I don't know what they were. So they are kind of mixed in here, but they are all sweet peppers. So besides the bells, I'm going to be mixing in, different varieties that I'm not quite sure what they are, but I'm sure they're going to be tasty. Another thing, I went and I picked the rest of my jalapenos and everything. I had to go and pick all my peppers and everything because we have had frost a couple of times, and it's like I just didn't want to cover the gardens anymore. I usually let my peppers turn red. I just leave them on the vine and I let them turn red, and to me they're just even sweeter yet and delicious. But anyway, so I picked the jalapenos also. Normally in my recipe I use hot banana peppers. I would put 1 hot banana pepper per quart of all my other bell peppers, but instead, being I don't have any this time because I didn't grow them, I am going to be putting in 1 jalapeno per quart. Okay, one of the main reasons that I'm telling you to take the membranes out is because that section is more bitter, and that just doesn't lead to a very good taste. The recipe does call for quartering your peppers before you stuff them in there, and I said I was going to cut them in half and then blanch them. But I have found that some of the larger ones, and where the membrane was, it was just easier to quarter them right away in order to take those out. Also, like the tops and everything, you can also do jars of chunks if you want. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to save these so I can make stuffed green pepper soup. That's super good. So as I said, I'm just going to be chopping off the tops, and I'll cut it in half. Now all that membrane in there, I'm just going through with my knife here. I'll take that out. Also, if you notice any spots that may start decaying or blemishes or whatever, you don't want that in there. You're going to trim those off. Now, if you don't want to put the hot pepper in, you don't have to. We are going to be adding garlic to this also. And so this is a little bit of a warmer pickled pepper, but oh, it's so delicious. And I can hear my mama right now, save me a jar. You got it. See, and we've got all sorts of different sizes and everything, and that is fine. Because we are going to be stuffing our jars as tight as we can. Well, being I was doing this by myself, it took a little while to get all of the peppers done, but I've got them quartered. Like I said earlier, I was just going to do them in halves, and I decided, well, as long as I've got a quarter of them anyway in order to put them into the jars, I might as well just do them right away. The water is almost up to a boil, and I will start blanching then. I also just cut the tops off of the jalapenos that I'm going to be putting in here. I've got my canner going right now. I've got that filled full of water, well, pretty close filled, because I'm putting quart jars in it instead of the pints. And so I've got a flame underneath there, and I'm bringing the temperature up. Now I can get 11 wide mouth quarts in this canner. I've got my jars in the oven also, sterilizing at 225 degrees Fahrenheit, and those will be in there for a minimum of 20 minutes. I'm going to show you, have a very good amount of extra peppers left over when I said I was going to make stuffed green pepper soup. And I also took some of the really small peppers and just cut them up to use for that. Now, I've done like pint-sized jars of, I call them tidbits, the smaller chunks, and I've used the same brine and everything, and I've done that also, but I don't need any of that right now. I'm looking forward to that soup. So, as soon as that water gets hot, we're going to get over there and we're going to start blanching. My water's boiling, so I'm ready to start blanching. I'm only going to blanch for like 30 seconds to a minute. And then, like anything that you blanch, you're going to plunge it into cold water to stop the cooking. Well, I've got the sink filling up right now with cold water. And being we don't have ice, that's going to have to do. Okay, so I'm going to use vegetable oil today. I have used olive oil in the past, and I decided, no, it's too heavy of a flavor for the pickled peppers. So what I'm going to be using is 4 cups of vegetable oil, and I'm going to dump that in. And I'm also going to be using a white vinegar. You want a 5% acidity or higher. And this, I am going to need a ½ gallon. Okay, we also need 1 pint or 2 cups of water to this. We're also going to be adding salt to our brine, and we need a 1/2 cup. You can use any type of a canning salt, kosher, sea salt. I'm using pink Himalayan salt. Just don't use table salt, especially if it has the iodine in it. Because besides the iodine in it, it's got fillers in it, cake, and things that help so it doesn't cake up so much. And it's going to turn your liquid cloudy. All right, I'm going to get this on the heat and get it boiling. Okay, while my brine is heating up and the salt is dissolving, you really want that salt dissolved in there. I'm going to be adding garlic. I've already peeled this and everything, had a little bag ready to go. And I'm going to put like 2 cloves into each quart jar. If you like more garlic, put more garlic, that's fine. If you don't care for garlic, I'm sorry. No, if you don't care for garlic, don't put it in there. So anyway, like I said, normally I put hot banana peppers in here, and if I was doing that, I usually put those in whole also. You know, I cut the tops off like I have done on the jalapenos. This is going to be something a little different. I haven't stuck jalapenos in here before. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my jalapenos in. This is where I don't actually put the banana pepper in there first. But being these are a little bit smaller than the banana pepper is usually the height. And these are just going to kind of sit on the bottom. And what's kind of surprising is even though these are a little bit on the warm side for a pickled pepper, Mr. Mankus likes them. At the same time, I got my Tatler lids on the back burner. I'm bringing that up to a scald. And I've noticed because I'm using the pink Himalayan salt in here instead of a white salt, the color has changed a little bit. Now, they're still pretty hot, but I am going to start stuffing my jars. And you're going to pack them as tight as you can. Try to get some of the longer ones in there together. That's why I said I've done chunks before and they've been good. I gotta pay attention, get a little color variety going. Alright, I'm gonna keep packing. My brine's boiling right now, but I still need to finish dissolving the salt. One thing, be aware, sometimes the vinegar likes to erupt up past that top layer of oil, and you could get burned. That's why I'm standing back. Not trying to scare you, just telling you what's happened to me in the past. As you may notice, I ended up with a total of 9 jars instead of 11. And one of them, I just cut up and put jalapenos in. I didn't have that many bell peppers to fill this up. I thought I had close to a 1/2 bushel, but I know I had more than a peck. Now, one thing about this is I'm going to continue stirring it. I want to be able to get an equal amount of the oil in with the vinegar. Now, the amount of brine I made was supposed to take care of a 1/2 bushel. So I'm hoping I have enough and I don't have to make more. Oh yes, we're leaving a 1/2 inch headspace. It seems like I've been on a pickling kick lately. That's all I've been doing is pickling things. As tight as I pack these in here, it's kind of hard to debubble, but make sure you do it because I do have bubbles coming up. And then add additional liquid if needed. All right, when I wipe my rims down now, I'm going to be using straight vinegar on a paper towel because that cuts grease. Okay, I'm going to get these into the canner. I'm going to bring it up to a boil and I'm going to time it for 20 minutes for the quarts here. So once that gets done, then I will take them out. Okay, the jars are finally out. I processed them 20 minutes and then once the 20 minutes was up, I turned the heat off, but I let them sit in the water for another 5 minutes before I removed them. Well, it was actually a challenge trying to get the jars out. It looks like I had siphoning on one of them, and I had a light coat of oil through everything. So when I was trying to grab it with my jar grabber, everything was sliding. So I had to be super careful. Yes, I oiled my gloves. So anyway, but I've got them out. I will wait for them to seal up and everything. I'll check on them in the morning and take the bands off, check them, and then I'll label them and get them in the pantry. But that's all there is to pickled peppers. But now, remember, wait 4 weeks before you dive into these, because that's when the flavor is going to be the best. So if you enjoyed this video, I want to thank you for joining me today, and please give me a thumbs up and share. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. So until next time, you have a wonderful day. God bless.